So I've just come out of watching The Batman, literally, 10 minutes ago or so, and I kind of felt compelled to talk about it. I thought, what a good opportunity to chat about it and actually upload something on this channel and, have an opportunity to gush about films and no one slap me in the face and say, shut up. I apologise in advance, actually, by the way, because I haven't really written a script or anything for this. This was very off the cuff. I just sort of came out of the cinema and thought to myself, you know what, I really just fancy chatting about The Batman, because in a non-spoiler way, of course, but I've got a lot of thoughts. The Batman was one of my most anticipated films for this year, without a doubt. I'm a huge fan of Robert Pattinson, absolutely love a lot of what Matt Reeves has done, but all the signs were pointing towards this being exactly what I wanted from a Batman film. I've always loved Batman as a kid. He was always kind of like up there with Spider-Man for me. Spider-Man and Batman, you just could not topple them. They were both so freaking cool. And while Spider-Man had this kind of like boyish, childish, relatable cartoonishness to him, the Batman had an edge about him. It was like, if you liked Batman, you were kind of cool. Collected tons of the Batman comic books and graphic novels. Overall, it's been probably quite an important aspect of my life, to be honest, in terms of kind of my inspiration. And a lot of my inspiration as an actor has come from performances that have come from the various Batman films. There's just always been something from those films that I've taken, and something from that character I've always taken. So with this new Batman film, I was very excited, if a little bit kind of just, one foot out the door, just slightly, hang on a second, we don't know how this is going to turn out. We've all been let down before. I'm looking at Batman vs Superman. I'm looking at Justice League. I'm looking at all the countless other times post Christopher Nolan that DC just hadn't quite got Batman as good as they did then. So without going into any spoilers, the Batman is just, it was phenomenal. It was genuinely brilliant. Not even just as like a superhero film, not even just as like an action flick. It was genuinely fantastic. Films like The Batman, alongside films like Logan, or maybe even Into the Spider-Verse could be another example, or The Dark Knight, they come along and they try something different. They try to actually bring a new element to the superhero genre. It feels like The Batman was set out to tell a compelling, grounded, and psychologically driven exploration of the Batman. First and foremost, Matt Reeves' direction is sound. It's astonishing. I think that he made a really, really smart choice in exploring this character as a detective, which he is constantly boasted as being the world's greatest detective, but it's not really something we've ever seen in the films before. He's being forced into having to solve all of these clues and riddles in order to stop the antagonist, and the film quite brilliantly tries to flip Batman on his head here, because Batman, as we know, he's a competent fighter, he's a badass, he's this, he's that, he thinks on his feet. However, the film kind of reminds you that he is also someone that's incredibly intelligent and someone who's incredibly perceptive and is able to scrutinize the smallest details and is able to piece things together in order to see the bigger picture. The film's commitment to presenting itself as this sort of film noir detective thriller really paid off. You could see a lot of that inspiration through a lot of the presentation, the way the characters talk and the whole writing, as well as also moments of narration. Something like that can always go slightly wrong. You can always run the risk of delivering too much exposition, it just becomes a character explaining the story. But luckily it doesn't do that. In any moments where Batman is narrating, it's instead a in-depth look into his psyche. It's a window into understanding how he operates. Definitely does a good job at tying up kind of Bruce Wayne's whole character arc in the film. Speaking of, Robert Pattinson absolutely kills it. He adds a whole new level of fury and commitment to the role, I feel. I think what I greatly admire about Robert Pattinson's take is that he's a fucking lunatic. In reality, Batman is sort of a lunatic, He's a man, he's a vigilante who thrashes people half to death with his bare fists, and when he's not doing that, he's mowing them down with his car. But this film really kind of delivers the point that he can be quite dark, he can be quite twisted and menacing, and for the first time ever watching a Batman film, Batman felt scary. There were moments where the music cues will even throw in the kind of the high-pitched violin shriek that you get in horror films as Batman lurches through the shadows and just decimates a whole group of people. It's fantastic. And kind of expanding upon that is that the fact that the film is sort of an exploration of fear and fear against heroism. I think the film does such a great job at being able to kind of explore how Batman fits between the two, how he walks that line, the choices he makes as to which line which side of the line he falls upon. It's not afraid to play on those smaller moments in comparison to the big moments, It's a Batman film, it's an action film. It's easy to perhaps forget the quieter moments of reflection and introspection and character development in favor of something that's entertaining. But the film does a great job at being able to juggle the two, as well as giving the appropriate amount of time to exploring his character. Stepping aside for a moment from my general rambling and kind of appreciate some of the technical aspects of this film, there is a lot to appreciate. Most notably, the cinematography is outstanding. It's truly a beautiful film. And in particular, I love the lighting. The lighting was just wonderful. Being a Batman film, it's obviously going to be quite visually dark. And so the moments where the light is able to just pierce through and illuminate these characters in this very grand and dramatic way, it was truly visually stunning. The music as well was brilliant. I feel like it certainly takes all the best bits from past Batman scores. In particular, I got a lot of kind of like the Tim Burton themes from his Batman score, that kind of grand, trumpeted, orchestral kind of moments. I think, in all honesty, I could say that perhaps it would have been nice to have a little less musical cues. There's a lot of music throughout the whole film, all excellent, and when it hits, it really hits well. It would have been nice to kind of play up the dark, brooding, intense atmosphere by having these moments of quiet. But I can't fault the music for what it is, because it is fantastic. So it's kind of a very minor critique, I suppose. What else? I'm so fucking hungry. I and this is what happens when I don't write something beforehand. I just ramble. Oh yeah, Colin Farrell as the Penguin was marvelous. He's unrecognizable as Colin Farrell. If you try to think, how is that Colin Farrell? It's very distracting. So you've got to quickly block out your mind and just accept that it's the Penguin. It's not Colin Farrell, it's the Penguin. Zoe Kravitz as well was brilliant as Catwoman. Absolutely loved her take. Paul Dano is brilliant as the Riddler. I kind of don't want to talk too much about him, but just trust me when I say that. You don't have to trust me actually. It's Paul Dano. We know he's going to be brilliant. You know he's going to be brilliant. I knew he was going to be brilliant. He's brilliant. It's definitely a film I want to watch again, that's for sure. Because it's a long film, and I wouldn't say that it felt short. It definitely felt long, but not in a bad way. I was enjoying it, so I was quite happy to sit there for the whole 3 hours and just sort of lose myself within the world. I didn't realize that Matt Reeves could create something that just felt so true to what I've personally always wanted from a Batman film. It's a film that captures everything that makes the Batman special. It's the brutality, it's the darkness, sure, but more importantly, it's the conflict. It's the inner conflict of a character like Bruce Wayne, who is fighting for justice in a way that is sometimes, quite frankly, abhorrent. And the way he has to justify that to himself and even to other people like Alfred has always been what fascinates me about that character. And the Batman does a superb job at exploring that. But yeah, I was really pleased by this. It's very difficult trying to talk about this off the cuff, no script, while also trying not to talk about spoilers. I can't wait to watch it again. Can't wait to jump back into that world. And it makes me very excited for what's potentially going to come next. Thank you for indulging me in my rambling. I don't know whether film reviews or immediate thoughts post watching in the cinema will be a recurring thing on this channel. More just due to the fact that without script or something to kind of prompt me, I am very rambly and uncertain of what to say. This is going to be heavily edited. But certainly I enjoy talking about films a lot, so I'm hoping to kind of post more stuff on this channel, talking about films and maybe some TV shows, maybe dip into some other stuff, video games. I hope this was something of I guess this is meant to be a review, so the end of the review, would I recommend it? Absolutely. There you go, that's the review. I hope you all have a good night. I'm gonna go cook some ramen and think about frickin' Robert Pattinson's eyeliner, because goddamn. Okay, yeah, peace out. I'm going now. All right, see ya. This is me leaving. This is the end of the video.